Hello everyone, this is Delboy from Sixes to Hit forum. Today we're going to be talking about the Dystopian Wars stat cards. In Dystopian Wars, when you buy a ship, you always get yourself a stat card. The stat card gives you the various different rules and points of values associated to your ship's abilities. So what we're going to be talking today is we're going to do the Federated States of America's Dreadnought class. Now Dreadnought's a really big scary ship, so it's got lots and lots of guns, which we'll get onto in a second, as you can see down here. But we're going to start off at the top with the damage rating, critical rating, move value and hit points. Now the damage rating stat that you can see here represents how much damage an enemy ship or squadron of ships have got to do against you for you to take 1 point of HP damage. Your critical rating is how much damage that same squadron or ship would have to do to make you roll on the critical effects chart, which could conceivably sink the Dreadnought. That being said though, 13 points of critical is going to be a pretty steep task for most people. Moving on, we've got the move value. This is marked off in inches, as you can see. A Dreadnought class is a quite slow ship. It's lumbering, and being such a large ship, it will only move at 6 inches a turn. Then finally, having mentioned it already, you have your hit points. Now, hit points are kind of like wounds that you would get in a lot of other games. This is how much damage you can physically take before your ship sinks to the bottom with the loss of all hands. If we move down, you can see AP. The game of Dystopian Wars is split into various different types of actions that ship can take, one of them being a boarding action. You would use your AP value to represent how successful your ship would be during a boarding action. As you can see here, the Dreadnought has a rather chumpy 12 AP. Moving along, we now have AA. Now AA is probably one of the most often used mini-stats in the game of Dystopian Wars. This represents your ship's ability to fend off either boarders as they jump across your ship on their rocket packs, or to take out flyers, or to shoot at large flyers, or even to take out rockets. So a very high stat of 8 AA would mean that the Dreadnought would roll 8 dice at these things. If you refer back to one of the other tutorials that we've put up, you'll realise that that also includes things like the exploding dice mechanic, which we've mentioned. The next one across is a CC. Now that's concussive charges. Your concussive charges is a weird one really. It's kind of like your depth charges to go against submarines, but you could also use it to represent barrels of oil being thrown over the side of a ship and ignited in an effort to detonate or cook off torpedoes. So you'd use your CC rating to protect you against torpedoes. For a very large battleship, it has quite a small CC rating of only 5. The final rating we've got is the RAM rating, or RAM value. In this case it's RAM 6. This will become clearer later on in the game, so I'm not going to waste time talking about it here. Essentially RAM 6 is pretty good. That would allow you to plough through lots of little ships without any real fear of getting hurt yourself. What's the next part we'll talk about? Well, we've got the range bands here, which are represented by 1, 2, 3 and 4. In Dystopian Wars, 8 inches and up to 8 inches is included in range band 1. Between 9 inches and 16 inches would be within range band 2. Range band 3, progressively 8 inches more each time. As you can see here, the big massive Dreadnought has quite a lot of turrets. I'm not sure how many. In fact, it looks like it's got 2 front mounted turrets. They would be chucking 12 dice at a target each, then 10 dice at 16 inches, at 24 less and at 32 less. This points to the fact that ship guns are less effective as the ranges go along. You've also got your port and broadside weapons, represented here with 8, 5, 3, as you can see, progressively less. But the dash you see here represents the fact that the gun simply has no effect at that range, so you wouldn't roll any dice at all. The final weapon is aft rockets. This is a pretty scary weapon. Essentially you can thump out a whole lot of rockets at people, but as you can see here, that can't fire at short range, as it obviously needs time to lock on its target as it fires at heights. Just a quick mention, although I'll probably come on to it in various other tutorials, about what P and S means. P is a primary weapon, and so there will be various different rules that will affect the primary weapon shooting capability, and S is a secondary weapon. Again, it's just a way of separating the two types of weapon.